intro music.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you recognize the music is different. Should I not do that? Should I not start with that?
No, you should definitely do the accent. How can you do an accent that good? That is such a that is a as a person who doesn't live far from Scotland, like I only live a few hours driving from Scotland. Aye, laddie. You can do the accent so well. You've probably never even been there.
It's probably a bit over the top. I'm not sure I have it mastered
No,
entirely.
you do. That's so good. I believe you. I believe you regardless.
Let's see. What did I say this morning? Working in the garage, because that's how they.
With the
that's
rolling
sometimes I think
R
even,
sort
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Can you do any other accents? Is it hard to
I do a
switch?
really
I
good.
can do no
I
accents.
do a really good. I do a really good Borat accent.
No, no.
I don't know if I should do it.
I don't know if you should do it.
I'm very excited to do the podcast.
No, it is good. It's annoyingly good.
Today we are going to answer your questions. I'm very excited.
Question.
I look forward to nutrition and the health.
I have actually never seen Borat, continuing on my reign of having no cultural awareness at all. Of course I know the accent and guy, but
Have you ever seen the movie Sling Blade?
no, I've never even heard of this. Sling Blade.
Got any of them French fried potatoes? Mm-hmm. So
Haters,
it's this guy that, yeah, this guy is like he's special, right? So, but he talks a certain way, and it's actually a really really good movie. But you should definitely watch it. A very heartwarming movie, and he kind of has this special way that he talks, and I won't say too much about it so I don't give it away. But if you liked, it came out after. Do you remember the movie? You probably do. Forrest Gump. So it came out.
Yes, actually a
Yeah, it came
movie
out-
I've seen. Come on.
Yeah, it came out after Forrest Gump, or at least I think it did. And some people kind of compared it to that, although it is a different movie, but similar in certain ways. Anyways,
Can you do a Gump? Can you do a Gump?
Um,
Life is like a box of chocolates.
I'd have
Isn't
to-
it? You never know what you're going to
them's
do. I can't do
my
any
shoes.
accents.
Jenny.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, actually.
Then on, if I was going somewheres, I was running.
Oh, that's so good. You're so good at the accents. If you can do an accent within a joke as well, it makes it so much funnier.
Here's what we're gonna do. I gotta show you. I gotta show you Sling Blade, because now, I mean, I think you'll let's see. French. Aha. I have to show you Sling Blade because you have to see what I'm talking about. It's really, really good.
Has anybody else seen this? Comment. Have you even heard of this movie? Am I culturally just ignorant, or is this a real thing? I also see you're wearing a... Sorry, say again?
No, I was just gonna say, for the people watching, I promise we'll get to the crux of this episode. We will get on with it, but sometimes
We're answering people's questions about fitness. Imagine that. Imagine Macros Inc. answering people's questions about fitness and nutrition. Wow.
Here's Sling Blade.
But for now, we've got Sling Blade.
What you got in there is good to eat.
Can I help you, sir?
I kind of want something other to eat. Mm-hmm.
Well, what would you like?
You got any French fried potatoes in there? You got any biscuits for sale in there?
Your accent's the same. I didn't know whether it was
We
him
don't
or
serve
you.
biscuits. We got a lot of other stuff.
We get
though.
kicked off YouTube.
What
for
you
this.
got in there is good to eat.
Well, we got Big Cheap Burgers, Bongo Burgers, Footlongs, Corny Dogs, Frosty.
Anyways, so that's Sling Blade, but really, really good movie. Okay, let me just get on with this, because I'm sorry, you guys. I thank you for bearing with us, and
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This all started with accents, apparently, but I'm excited for this one because we have fielded a lot of the questions that people ask in the group, as well as just one-on-one. These are questions that I'm sure Connor has gotten from his clients as well. These are questions that I've certainly gotten from people over the years. And again, a lot of the questions that I'm going to ask are from the group, but also in my years of coaching people. I know not only are these questions that people still ask today and every day, but these are probably the same questions that'll get asked forever and ever. And I actually wrote a post this morning that talks about, in this space, in nutrition and fitness, for professionals like ourselves, we don't really encounter questions that we haven't seen before. Not anymore, right? There comes a point where it's like you've pretty much had every question that somebody could ask you in this space.
I love it and challenge my clients. I hope they ask me questions that I have never seen before, because then I can hopefully find out the answer from somebody who does know, who is better than me in that specific area. But then no client can ever ask me that question ever again, and I won't know. So the more questions I get asked, the smaller the list of things you can ask and I don't know the answer becomes. So I congratulate clients literally. I will say to them, wow, no one has ever asked me that question before. And it gets less and less.
It's definitely rare. It's good when we do find them, but it's even then, it's kind of like there's some part of that question where it's like there's a little bit of nuance there that ties to another question that I've probably heard. So it's to get a question I've never actually heard before is pretty rare. But anyways, the point is, these are questions that you guys have asked. These are some questions that even if you haven't asked them, I think the answers will be beneficial for you. So Connor and I are going to run through. I'm pulling up the list right now. Let me.
And these are blind questions to me as well, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Macros Inc. podcast. I've seen nothing, I know nothing, and let's go and fire it off.
Yeah, these are questions that I have not shared with Mr. Connor here. In fact, I have like 20 of them written down. I don't know how many we'll get to, but
if anybody knows me on a podcast, probably 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes 0.
So what we can just dive right into it. I'm gonna, like I said, I have like 20 of them written down. I'm not really gonna go in any particular order. I'll just kind of read off the ones that I think would be most beneficial for people, and we'll get to what we can get to. So the first one that we have here is this is a common one. I've been eating in a calorie deficit for weeks, and the scale hasn't moved. What am I doing wrong? Such an interesting, such a loaded question, because I feel like people ask this question thinking that there's going to be like one answer when it's really multiple possibilities. I'm just going to give one little caveat and then I'll let you answer that question. But I think this is also under the assumption that, the first part of that question, I've been eating in a calorie deficit for weeks. The alarm bells that go off in my head immediately is, okay, are you actually in a calorie deficit? Do we know that for sure?
Yeah, because you just said the word assumption, and we do science. We don't really want assumptions in this situation. If somebody wants an actual guaranteed result, we can't be assuming. We need to know. So we either need more context, or we'll have to answer generally around it.
Yeah. So I think that is the first question that we have to answer. And this isn't what I'm about to say is not a knock on anybody. It's just kind of factually how we are as humans. We're not a lot of us aren't great at math. Okay, well, what does math have to do with it? Well,
I'm not great at math.
Calorie counting is math, right? And we tend to like underestimate how many calories we're actually eating pretty easily. We may not measure things correctly, we don't count correctly, we don't log things correctly. We don't even understand, a lot of people don't fully understand nutrition labels, which in and of themselves that's a totally different story, but they can be confusing.
They can.
But portion sizes, right? All of that stuff can really muddy the waters to the point where that's the question I ask is, first of all, do you know if you're actually in a calorie deficit?
How do you know?
Right. And how do you know? So let's take a look at that first.
Can you prove it?
The angle. Yeah. Can you prove it? Let's take a look at that first. Before I say, here's what's potentially wrong, let's make sure that you're actually in a calorie deficit. How do you attack it? What angle do you take when you get that?
Ooh, yes. So the first thing I would do is, if this is a real person I'm talking to, I would ask more questions to gain more context. If it's in a consultation and somebody says that to me, or if it's in a live call with a client, or if it's a message to a client, I probably wouldn't just answer the question because, like you, I don't want to make assumptions and I need to know more context to the overall situation than this. The first approach I would have to this question would be to ask, was the weight coming down before? Previous to these last few weeks, was the weight coming down before? If so, for kind of how long? Basically, I'm asking, I want them to show me that they can and have been in a calorie deficit previously. If we've had the weight going down for a few months or even a few weeks, then okay, cool. Then we do know how to create a calorie deficit and we are doing it. My second question would be, how long has the weight stalled for? Because when we say a few weeks, are we talking 2? Because if we're talking 2, to me, that is not long enough, even if somebody's in...
for sure.
Yeah, even if somebody's in an actual calorie deficit, your body weight can still just stall for 2 weeks, especially if you're a lady. Like, what if you're bloated for a week, and then what if we've got hormone change for a week, and then what if you even get a little bit ill, or you don't sleep well, or you get humidity-related water retention for a week? You can actually be in a consistent calorie deficit for 2 weeks and then not get a result at all. So my first question is, were we in a calorie deficit before? My second is, how long has the weight been stalled for? I will also like to pass to you and say, on my side, sir, your camera has gone off.
I just noticed that. Let me try to fix this. Hang on. Keep talking. Keep going.
We're in the blind. So, the way I work with my clients is, if the weight has stalled for 1 week and they have been in a calorie deficit before, I have to say to that person, I understand it's frustrating and I understand the weight is not coming down right now, but we need to firstly make a little differentiation between fat loss and weight loss, as body fat burning and weight loss are not exactly the same thing. They are tied together, but they don't happen simultaneously. Firstly, we need to burn enough body fat to actually get the weight to come down. And then after you've burned enough body fat, again, we've got a lot of other body weight variables overall, which are constantly changing on a day-to-day basis. I named a few before, but there's probably 100 more. We've lost Mr. Dylan on the podcast. It's just me and you, people at home. Should we derail the whole thing? I've just taken full control. How do you feel? I feel great right now. Maybe I can lock it so he's like... Here he is, he's back in. I definitely wasn't talking about you behind your back or nothing.
You could have, because my camera decided to just stop working for some reason, so you definitely would have talked BS. But keep going.
Allow me to surmise and to finish my point. When clients come to me with this all the time, of course, because we're losing weight and weight stalls are natural. Your weight can stall for a week even if you're in a constant calorie deficit, because sometimes it's just not enough time to lose enough fat for it to show through other body weight changing variables. If it gets to 2 weeks and the weight hasn't gone down, but we are quote unquote definitely in a deficit, now I'm getting interested. Every day that it goes past 2 weeks that the weight does not go down, I am becoming more and more suspicious that we are not actually in a calorie deficit. If it gets to 3 weeks weight loss, we are approaching 100% possibility that we are not actually in a calorie deficit. And if it gets to 4 weeks weight loss, there's almost no reason outside of extenuating like medical circumstances that we'd have water retention for that long for some reason. We should be losing a pound a week here. So even if the body weight's bumping up and down, we should be bumping up and down a few pounds lower than we were a month ago. Why are we not? At that point, we are not in the calorie deficit. So I have to encourage my clients to get past 1 week in patience. We have to have patience. It's kind of like saving money. You only get paid monthly. You can't check your bank account weekly and expect it to go up. That's not how it works, and it's not how it works with fat loss either. Weekly weight loss is not a realistic thing for most people most of the time. Most weeks, sorry, I'm talking for too long, but I will say this. This is why we'll only get to 2 questions. If somebody diets for a year, 52 weeks out of the year, I would probably expect them to lose weight probably like 40 weeks out of that year. Like most weeks, I would expect they will actually get a drop. Most weight drops come within 3 to 5 days. But there'll be quite a few weeks in the year where it just doesn't happen. And it might be water retention, it might be sleep, it might be bloating, it might be constipation, it might be hormones, it might be illness, it might be. It could be a lot of things, but there's going to be some weeks it just doesn't happen. We're going to have a few 2-week weight stalls in there. And I prepare clients for this, and I tell them this. Your weight's not going to go down every week. If you think it's going to, you're going to be wrong. You're going to upset yourself with that expectation, so don't. We look at this on an average across a few weeks, so stay patient. There might be 2 or 3 times in a year that a client has a 2-week weight stall. Like you can get a Lemony Snicket and series of unfortunate events that leads you to like a 2-week water retention weight stall. Like you'd have to literally like get bloated, then get constipated, then go onto your hormonal cycle, like all in a row, still while you're keeping the calorie. It can happen though. If it gets to 3 or 4 weeks though, we need to reassess the calories. That's what I'm thinking and saying. Welcome back to the podcast, sir.
Yeah, that's right, laddie. That's a great answer.
No, stop.
Thanks for taking us through that one. That's probably a little bit over the top, but
It sounds
no,
great.
great answer.
I'd believe you. If you could keep it going for an hour, I wouldn't question it. I imagine
Well,
it becomes taxing though.
I'll ask this next question in that accent. Is it actually possible to lose fat and build muscle at the same time? That's a great question, though, isn't it?
Yes, you
and
go.
I love this.
I just actually took that whole last question, so you go.
Well, I do. I love this question because, we definitely have an answer to it, and this is also I feel like it's a contentious question because you'll have people online that are like, "Hell yes, it is. It absolutely is. You could do that. Don't let anyone else tell you that you can't." And then you have other people who are like, "Nope, not possible at all. You can't do both at the same time." And it turns out that the actual answer, and we know this because there's ways to study this, and we have this thing called the scientific method. We know the answer to this. The answer is yes, with a caveat.
It's yes, but
Yes,
or
sometimes.
yes, and
Yes, yes,
or
yeah.
yeah.
There's it's definitely nuance. So I'll dive into that one. The way I try to explain to people is, look, if you are someone who, and I'll just use some extreme examples here just to highlight the point. If you are, let's say, 300 pounds, and let's say your ideal weight is, I don't know, 180. All right, well, you're very overweight, right? So you have a lot of weight to lose. And let's also say that you really have not like done much resistance training in your life. Like you just don't lift weights. And then
this is a common situation.
And it is a common situation, yeah. And then let's say I come to you and I say, all right, so you want to get down to 180 pounds, right? You want to lose weight and you want to get in shape. Gotcha. Let's do this. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you start exercising and lifting weights, and I'm going to put you in a calorie deficit. All right. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to give you an amount of calories that is going to produce weight loss. Mm-hmm. And the program I'm going to have you on is going to be things like, bench press, squat, deadlift, resistance training. And what'll happen is that is the type of people, and again, it's kind of an extreme example, but, well, actually, it's really not so extreme when you think about it. But
I know what you're saying, though. It's an extreme of somebody who's never trained but also has a high body weight.
Correct.
I understand what you're saying. It's not an extreme situation to be in, but it's the two extremities.
The example.
Yeah, right? I understand what you're saying there, yeah.
But that is the type of person that can do both at the same time. Because when you begin training and you've never lifted before, you experience fairly acute changes in your muscles. You have these adaptations. We call them newbie gains, right? Your muscles when you've never lifted before, if you've never bench pressed before, and you go do 3 sets of 10, let's say, your muscles are going to be like, what the hell just hit me?
They'll build from just that.
What was that? Yeah, they will build from, because it's essentially, and I'm sort of personifying this, but like your muscles, if they were a person, would be like, I don't know what the hell that was, but if that happens again, I better be prepared for it. I need to like make sure that I can handle that again if that's gonna happen. And so what they'll do is they'll grow and they'll repair themselves, and the tissues get stronger, and they try to make sure that they can handle that load, right? So that is the muscle growth side of things. And on the other side of that, when you're in a calorie deficit, you are no longer intaking enough energy to maintain your weight. So what's going to happen? Well, the weight's going to come off. You're going to start losing fat. So both of those things are happening simultaneously. And the reason that can't really happen for someone like me or you, or the reason it would be just insurmountably long and I wouldn't want to endure such a thing, is because I've lifted weights for a long time. You have as well. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly lean. You're fairly lean as well. That type of situation is not really going to happen for us. We're not really going to, for someone like you and me, we either need to focus on a calorie deficit to lean up and just focus on that and try to like maintain our weights, or we need to be in a slight surplus and then really just focus on building muscle. It's got to be one or the other for us, because we're not at that newbie gain stage anymore, and we don't have really weight to lose. We can lose a little bit, we can lean up, but it's a totally different scenario. We are trained individuals versus an untrained individual. We are relatively lean individuals versus someone who's overweight, right? Two totally different examples. So for us, that's losing weight and building muscle at the same time is probably not going to happen. Or if it does, it's just going to be so slow and so long that you're going to be like, I'm not even noticing anything really. So that's why you can't just say you either can or can't. It depends. Like a lot of things, right? It depends. So that's my answer to that one. I'll just go. I'll go on to this next one here. This is another good question.
Could I just extrapolate a little bit for a moment on your points there?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? I'd just like to add on why that is for people, sort of technically, like what the difference is. So you started by saying somebody who's got more weight to lose versus somebody who's got less weight to lose. The difference is there. The body, when it's got more weight to lose, does not respond the same to a calorie deficit as somebody who's got less weight to lose. There's something called metabolic adaptation, and it hits people harder who are leaner due to a lower what's called starting energy availability. So somebody who's got more weight to lose, when they go into a calorie deficit, body fat, it is energy for the body. So it's kind of like we've got food already on board. So if we don't eat much, it's kind of okay. Like the human body, like when it's got weight to lose and when it's healthy and advantageous to lose weight and you're actually getting health improvements from it, we've got food on board, it's the body fat, we're trying to lose it. When we don't eat much, it's kind of okay. Like the body will just use the body fat calories to make up that deficit, and then the protein that you eat can be used to build the muscle, and then we'll be good to go, and we'll be able to build some muscle and lose some fat at the same time. If you've got less weight to lose, then the energy available to the body is less. When you go into the calorie deficit, you feel more tired, more likely. It's just a little bit harder to keep the calorie deficit going. The body doesn't respond as favorably to it. And everybody knows the leaner you get, the harder it is to get leaner. That's just literally how it goes. And then in terms of the strength training, it's kind of the same thing where somebody who hasn't trained for a long time or has never trained before can make progress really easily, kind of just doing little bits of any training, and you'll get positive adaptations because, as we've spoken about before, progressive overload is the primary factor for that in terms of the training. And if last week we did nothing and this week we do something, that's automatically progressive overload regardless. So then you can get the muscles to stimulate and grow. If you've been training for a long time, it's hard. Progressive overload means doing more than you've ever done before, basically, or doing more than you've recently done before. If you're not eating much and you've already been training for a long time, it's very hard to do more. It's hard to do more the more you've been doing for as long as you've been doing it when you have eaten enough. Regardless when you haven't. So it's not that it really can't be done. It's not that it's physiologically impossible. It's just that it's way too hard for the actual body and mind to do both when it's already quite advanced in both. And I will say there's another way to do it, and it's steroids. Isn't it? People build muscle and lose fat. Yeah, if you see people like getting shredded on Instagram and they're losing fat and building muscle at the same time, and you see these like transformations from people, and they're like, "Oh, look, I've gained 10 pounds," and they're like, "Look how lean I am." It's like, okay, there's studies showing you build muscle by injecting steroids, even if you don't train. Like literally, the hormones can ramp up that much. It just applies muscle tissue to the body. So you can also see some people that are like using exogenous hormones and things like this to also sort of externally adapt to that situation. So there are other ways to get like bodybuilders, they do that, don't they? You'll see them go into like a bodybuilding show and get leaner and bigger at the same time.
For sure.
And it's the gear.
Yeah, it is. That's a really good point. And
it's like the hormones forces it to happen on the body, even though it kind of might not want it to.
And those people, even then though, so you still have to be disciplined. You still have to do the work. Which that's actually so funny. That's one of the questions I have. I think it was along those lines. Let me pull it up. Yeah. So here, this is a good one. I saw this question maybe, 5 days ago or so. What should I do when my motivation completely disappears? Mm-hmm. Because that happens to all of us. Like, I don't care who you are. And if anybody says, I wake up motivated every single day, BS. Like,
unless maybe if you're a bit crazy.
Yeah, I guess. But the average person is not waking up motivated every day. That's going to come and go. So what do you think, what do you tell people? What should you do when motivation completely disappears? I have my theory, but
we could and probably should do an entire podcast on just this, on just perspectives and motivation and just where to get it and how to create it. Firstly, I love what you said. I am literally a world-class fitness professional, and so are you, and we are not motivated every single day. I do not wake up and go, whoa, do you know what I'd love to do today? Run until I can't breathe. I'd like to have heavy weights squash me until I almost can't pick it up again. That sounds fun. Not really. I also like cake and pizza. You know, sometimes I don't want to eat broccoli. Look at my broccoli phone today. Today I've ran out of broccoli. I actually just do not have any. So this is what the deconstructor phone looks like. This is what it looks like under its skin. So firstly, yes, you can't rely on motivation. It comes and goes like a breeze. It's like you've got the windows open on your home and it'll blow in and it'll just leave again. And you should use it when you've got it, definitely. And it is a powerful tool. We should definitely use it when we've got it. And we can find it, we can make it, we can create it. One thing I often do with people is I try and apply little bits of positive perspective if I can. Like if this person's asked this question, they have not fully lost motivation to start with. Right? If they've not, if you're messaging in, then you actually care. Otherwise, why did you make the post? If you'd lost full motivation was gone, then you do not care. Then why are you even asking? You'd feel fine because you wouldn't care. No, you actually do have some motivation. So firstly, I think we should talk about, or I would talk to this person, because I don't know, but I would talk to them about where are your motivations? Like, why did you start this? Do you remember when you joined the Macros Inc. Facebook group? Why? Like, what was going on? Like, what do you want to actually change? Like, do you feel perfect right now, or could things be better in your well-being? Like, what's actually going on? You must have some goals, otherwise why are you even listening to this podcast? How are you 27 minutes into a fitness and nutrition podcast and saying we have no motivation? We might feel like we've lost significant motivation, but there's a little grain of it still in there. The first thing I'd do is try to help that person find it. What do you... I'll talk forever, so I'm going to pass back to you there.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day too. So I'm going to give you an example that, and this is like not really a realization that I had until I was a bit older. When I was 27, maybe 28, I had just had my first daughter, and she was like, I don't know, maybe 6 months old. And this was before Macros Inc. really was a thing. And I was at this job interview for a different, like, kind of like a sales position. And I remember that the interviewer asked me a question, and she goes, what motivates you? And I basically just unequivocally answered pretty much immediately and said my daughter.
Amazing.
Which is that was true. And my kids still motivate me, all the time. Mm-hmm. But the reason I say that, like, my answer is probably a little bit different now. I mean, again, my kids still are a great motivating factor. But what I've realized over the years, and what I mean is, and if I could go back now and answer that question, I'd still say my kids, but I would also add the caveat that, look, I'm going to be honest with you, lady. I don't wake up motivated every day. And if anyone's going to sit here in this chair and tell you that they do, they're lying to you. What I have discovered over the years is I'm going to have days when I wake up and be like, I don't feel like doing this, but you know what? I'm going to go do it anyway. Like,
Discipline.
It's a discipline thing. And so I if I could go back and answer that question again, I would just say, here's what motivates me. But when I'm not feeling motivated, which is probably more often than you'd like, I fall back on, look, I got to be disciplined because this is why I said I wanted to do this. Here is my goal. Like, I know that in order to achieve the goal that I want, I have to do this. It's not a matter of motivation. It is a matter of discipline, and because I need to be true to my goal. So just go do it.
Or is it how you actually view the motivation? Because let me ask you this. What are we even defining motivation as? Because motivation could often be seen or felt as an I want. Okay.
Well, I think it's a feeling to me. Motivation is a feeling. It's an emotion.
It's a desire. You know what I mean? It's an I want. Like, if you're motivated for something, you want that thing, like whatever it might be. And maybe you don't want to go to the job, okay, but you said you're going to do it anyway. I said discipline, but then really, if you don't want to go to the job, you don't have motivation to go to the job, why do you do it anyway?
Well, a lot of us are obligated to, right? Like, a lot of us.
But why? Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going again. Why are you obligated to? The motivation is
What if a
actually
lot of-
consequences.
Yeah, well, what a lot of people will tell you is, I got bills to pay, man. I got to
Exact
pay my
consequences.
bills.
That's what I'm talking about. It's consequences. So maybe you aren't motivated to do the thing, but you are actually motivated to not get the consequences of not doing it, which is also a real factor that needs to be paid attention to. Maybe you do not want to eat less calories, but do you want to suffer the consequences of never eating less calories? Maybe you don't want to exercise. Often, I don't want to exercise. Do you want to suffer the consequences of being somebody at 60 years old who has never exercised? So maybe you don't have motivation for the action. It's not always about the action. You need to look one step
That's a
further
great
and look at the outcome. It's not.
Yeah,
we
that's a
don't have
really great
motivation for the action. It's not the action. It's the outcome. You want your kids to have a life. You need to pay your bills. You need them to have a home over your head. You would rather. You don't want to go to the job, but you want the opposite of what the problem of not doing it, less than you want to not do it.
Yeah. Yep. It's the, and yeah, you're spot on with that. It's the consequences of, I could go ahead and not do this, but if I did that,
Then
the
what?
consequences would be so severe that I'm not willing to live with that. So I'll
Exactly.
Just go do it.
So you just go do it. But that's still a motivation, in my opinion. And it's how you view the motivation, how the action,
and that's
or how
where
the
it comes down
outcome.
to semantics. Like, it's semantics. Like, that's why you ask, what do we mean by motivation, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, in that sense, yeah, that is a motivation. I wouldn't argue that. I think
It's action outcome, and I think it's so important. Like I tell my clients, never really have I liked exercise, and I was not picked last at school for sports, but very close. Like I have no natural tendencies for any exercise or anything like this. When I started at the gym, I remember, I've said this on podcast before, but I vividly remember unracking the bar on the bench press and getting stuck under it and not being able to push it off myself, and all of my friends laughing. And some of them could bench 220 pounds, and we were 15 years old and they'd never trained, and they were 6 foot tall already, and I was small and weak and not healthy either. I had like health problems too. So like I didn't start good at this. I am like a world-class professional at it now, but not through like natural tendencies or anything like this. I've never woke
just
up
through
and
repetition and discipline and
yeah, and also understanding. It's kind of like that famous thing of choose your hard. Do I want to exercise? No, but I have also tried not exercising, and the people listening at home have also, and you know how bad it feels when you don't. So exercise feels bad, but not exercising feels worse. Eating healthy is hard. Not eating healthy and being unhealthy forever is way harder. So it's which do you
question you
want?
have to ask yourself is, what problems do you want to have in life? What problems are you willing to live with?
Yeah, the ones that you're choosing and making for yourself, like exercise and calorie counting, because it's a bit of a problem and an issue. It's not exactly fun. Or do you want the problems that come from not doing it, the ones that will be forced on you because you did not take control? I promise you want the problems you create for yourself because at least you hold them. At least you control them.
Yep, for sure.
I'll kick off about motivation.
Here's another good one. And thank you for everyone who's still here watching this. I do want to kick one. I want to mention one thing for the people that are sticking with us and listening to this. If anybody wants, I got a good deal for you. Anybody that wants to work with a coach, use code podcast25 on checkout, and it'll give you $25 off coaching. So if you want to work with someone like
tasty
Connor
little
or
treat.
any of us, anyone who's listening to this podcast, use the code podcast25. You'll get $25 off your coaching.
And that's a little tasty little treat from director Dylan there for the listeners at home. No, you don't mind.
Here is the next question. You ready? What's more important for weight loss, cardio or lifting weights? God, such a good question. And I would probably rephrase this. I would say the question is the question that people more often ask is not necessarily what's more important for weight loss. Is like they just ask what's better, cardio or lifting weights.
And why do they ask that? It's because usually they don't have time to do both, so they're trying to choose. And can I also ask you another question on top of this before you or we go into this answer? I'd like to ask you, who is saying that ladies in menopause and people of older ages shouldn't do cardio? Have you seen this online as like a trend lately? Like people...
I have not, but that's concerning.
You haven't? I also hadn't. Do you know how many clients lately have been asking me why they keep seeing online that ladies in menopause should not do I'm being specific. They are being told they should not do cardio, and like some people, like Instagram people, are like, lifting weights is like the panacea. And yes, okay, if you could ask me if you can only do one, I would probably say lifting weights, and I'll tell you why and give my pluses and minuses. But saying people should not do cardio, I'm like, Listen,
Yeah, that's wild.
listeners, if you hear people saying you shouldn't do cardio, health recommendations for all humans are that you should do 2 hours of cardio per week, no matter who you are. So don't listen to these people talking nonsense and talking negativity. But sorry, please continue.
I'll have to look that up. I don't really know what the rationale
Ridiculous. It actually
whatever the
aggravates
rationale-
me.
Yeah, whatever the rationale is.
There's none. There's no rationale.
Yeah, it would be nonsensical even if there was. But I guess to answer the question,
Please.
So again, question is, what's better, cardio or lifting weights? And we can take this two questions. We can do what's better, cardio or lifting weights, and then we can also do what's better for fat loss or for weight loss, cardio or lifting weights. Well, the first one is when we have to define, well, what do you mean by better? And the way I kind of explain it to people, and I just try to make it relatively succinct and easy to understand. And I just tell people, look, cardio, you got to think of this as they're two different tools.
Tools is the word.
Yeah, they're two. They serve two different purposes. Cardio, when we talk about cardio, what we think of traditionally is like running or jogging or even walking is cardio. Walking on a treadmill, whatever. That is good. The cardiovascular exercise is good for exactly that. Cardiovascular, your cardiovascular system, right? It's good for your heart. It's good for your blood vessels. It's good for blood flow. It's good for your brain. So it improves your cardiovascular health. Okay. Lifting weights improves it. Lifting weights is good for your musculoskeletal system. What I mean by that is it's not only good for your muscles, but I don't think most people don't think about bone health when we talk about lifting weights. Lifting weights is incredibly good for your bones because it increases bone density, which is especially important for people as they get older, especially women in menopause or, post-menopause. You get into your 50s and 60s and beyond, and bone health becomes increasingly important. In fact,
sarcopenia, isn't it? Age-related muscle and strength loss.
And we know that when and we have many cases of this, plenty of evidence out there that says and shows if an elderly person falls and breaks, let's say, their leg or breaks their hip or something, if they break a bone, quality of life tends to suffer dramatically from that, and your chance of dying within the next year goes way up.
It's actually the leading cause of indirect death, yes, because people fall, they break a rib or a hip, they go into hospital, they contract something worse, and then that's the end.
Or your mobility goes down, your independence goes down, and
then your health goes down. Yeah, your mental health goes down.
It all goes downhill from there. Not always, but it certainly does a lot. And so that's why. So back to the original question: cardio. So, what's better for my cardiovascular health? Well, doing cardio. What's better for my muscles and my bones? Well, lifting weights. Those are two different tools. So we have to kind of define first what does better mean, and the second version of that question is what's more important for weight loss, or what's better for weight loss, cardio or lifting weights? Totally wrong tools for that. Again, there's that word tool, right? We talk about cardio. I just defined what cardio and lifting weights are good for. Neither of those things are the tool that we want to use for weight loss. The tool that we use for weight loss is what?
Calorie deficit, food.
Dieting, right? Yeah. That is the tool that we use to lose weight, is putting yourself in in a diet that produces a calorie deficit, right? And that can be, and your diet can be many different things. You could do paleo, you could do low carb, you could do keto, you can intermittent fast, you can count your macros, there's a lot of different ways to induce a calorie deficit. But that is the tool for weight loss. So when you ask the question, what's better for weight loss, cardio, or lifting weights, it's kind of the wrong question to ask. Now, the little caveat to that, I would say, is that if you're looking to, we know that we need a calorie deficit to induce weight loss, right? Now, if you're looking to increase that deficit a little bit more, then you're better off doing cardio, but it's not the primary tool for that, right? You can generally, in a given hour, let's say, just to put a time frame on it, you can usually burn more calories by doing cardio than you would by lifting weights. So
maybe double-ish or 1.5 times, something like that.
Yeah, it's a decent amount. But again, it's not. So I guess you could answer that question, maybe say, well, cardio does a better job of burning more calories, so it could theoretically add more to your deficit. You could take that angle.
But is that a good thing? Or like,
Well, potentially not, right?
Exactly. Like, what if the resistance training is actually better for the metabolism overall and the person's toning and their feelings,
or for your long-term adherence?
or for your physique in it's like, it depends on what your goals are.
Very, very nuanced question, right? So that's why I think it's, just for the general population. And when we answer these kinds of questions, instead of diving into all the nuances, because most people come to us, they're just like, just tell me what I got to do to lose weight and look better. That's all I want to do, right? Tell me what. So let's just make this simple. Do cardio for your cardiovascular vascular health. Lift weights for your muscles and your bones.
And
then let's diet to get you losing weight. That's all you got to worry about.
Amazing. I teach my clients something called the transformation triangle. That's what I call it. And I teach them at each point of the triangle, we've got a different tool. At the head of the triangle, there's diet. At one corner of the triangle, we've got cardio. And at one corner of the triangle, we've got resistance training. And I write in the middle of the triangle, each of these tools only solves one job. But why are they a triangle? It's because they are actually interlinked. They are not completely separate tools. Yeah. Like, does your cardio affect your resistance training and muscle building? Yes. Sometimes for the positive, like literally if you do cardio, you won't get as tired in between sets. You'll be able to do more sets per hour. You'll be able to cope with volume better. You might even recover better. You might be able to eat more food and more protein while still maintaining a calorie balance if you do cardio as well. Or you could make yourself too tired doing cardio to not be able to progressive overload. So they do impact each other. Does your resistance training affect your cardio? Yes. People with stronger legs will run and cycle a little bit better, won't they? And does resistance affect your diet? Yes, it burns calories. Does cardio affect your diet? Yes. But if you're trying to run yourself slim, you're using the wrong tool for the wrong job. If you're trying to diet yourself strong, that isn't going to work. If you're trying to lift yourself fit, it can work if we blend cardio into it, but like a strict strength training program ain't going to do that. So they're interlinked tools, but each tool kind of solves one job, and I encourage my clients to use them in proportion for what outcome they want. If the client wants maximum weight loss, then we're focusing mostly on food and a little bit on just general movement of any type. If they want mostly strength, then we focus on mostly resistance. If they want mostly fitness, then we focus mostly on fitness. It's a proportionality for each person depending on the outcome.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. I did put in the chat there, I said, if anyone watching has questions you'd like us to answer in real time. I have this list, but if anybody wants a question, to put your question in the chat, rather, we'd be happy to answer. Another question I have here. We've talked about this before. This was maybe 5 or 6 episodes back, maybe more than that. But supplements, are they necessary or are they mostly a waste of money? I like that question because, again, the answer is it depends. What do you think? I'm of the opinion that there's only a few. Like, there's only I could probably count on one hand how many supplements are worth it. I would say that supplementing with protein is a valid thing to do and can be a really good idea for a lot of people. I would say creatine has some benefits to it as well. Beyond that, you can talk about multivitamins, maybe fish oil, but it really starts to get.
We're grasping at straws after that, aren't we? You're whistling it down, sir.
What do you think? What's your angle on supplements?
I think the clue is in the name to start with. It's a supplement, which means literally to supplement, which means
not necessary.
It's not called a necessity. You're exactly right. It's not called a necessary. It's called a supplement, which means you supplement, you fill holes in a healthy diet with it. So it's not called a necessity. It's also not called an instead of. You're not supposed to take food out and put supplements in or anything like this. It's called a supplement because even in the modern world where we've got maximum access to food and stuff like this, it's still pretty hard sometimes to get all of your nutrition, especially if you've got IBS or food preferences even. Like if you're a vegan or a vegetarian or something, then yeah, you might, if you're choosing to exclude or you have to exclude for health reasons or for preference reasons or digestion reasons, if you have to exclude food groups, and sometimes we have to supplement back some nutrition that you might be missing. Like vegans can do well with an iron and a B12, for example, sometimes. And I would encourage people, if you think you might need any vitamins or something like this, you can talk to your doctor and you can get a blood test and things like this, and you can actually check your vitamin levels to see if they're good for you. But yes, supplements are an individual choice for each person, and I agree with you completely. We've got protein is a good supplement. Technically, it's a food substitute. It's not even technically a supplement, but it gets lumped into supplements as well. We've got vitamins, of which I classify a few of the vitamins kind of separately. Like I class multivitamins as one thing, Then I class vitamin D as a separate thing because you can't get enough vitamin D in a multivitamin. That's because of its it dissolves in oil, and you can't put oil in like a compact multivitamin pill. So this is why vitamin D's come in, like, usually anyway, they come in these like little oil style pills. So I count protein as a good supplement for some people if they need to get more protein and they struggle with food. Then we've got multivitamins. This can be decent for some people. Multivitamins decent. Then we've got vitamin D as well, which most people, even in the US where you are, where it's sunnier, and then here where I am in England, people like, there's a large proportion of people in the US who are still vitamin D deficient, and this is because we work inside, especially in the hours of the day where the sun is the highest.
In the northern hemisphere countries too, that's it's actually higher, which makes sense because there's less sunlight there. The winters are longer,
it's cloudy all the time. Don't come here.
Yeah.
You won't have a good time. Bring your coats. You won't like it. So, and you can only make vitamin D as well when the sun is higher than a 25-degree angle in each direction as well, because the atmosphere absorbs too many of the UV rays that you don't even really make vitamin D from like really low level sunlight either.
Probably has to be pretty concentrated then.
It has to be like like a decent, so it kind of has to be like midday sunshine as well. And then also when you go outside, what kind of clothes are you wearing? You actually haven't got most of your skin even showing, probably. Like if I go outside dressed like this, there's like a bit of my arms and face showing, and then like not much else. So how much vitamin D am I even really absorbing there? And it actually takes 1 hour in full direct sunlight with 50% or more of your body showing to, on average, get a full day's worth of vitamin D. So unless you're outside 50% nudies, okay, for the full then some people need to get a vitamin D supplement. Then there's fish oils, like you said, omega-3, decent. A lot of people don't eat fish, or they don't like fish very much, and omega-3 can be decent for a lot of people. It has a lot of positive impacts on the body. Creatine's good, like you said, for the brains and bones and muscles. Shown lately to be really protective for brain aging, isn't it? Shown to stave off Alzheimer's and dementia and brain aging in some people. It's neuroprotective and things like this. So creatine seems pretty nice for a lot of people as well. And then after that, there's a few things that work for a few people, like inositol, the fiber supplement, works for some people. There's a few other fiber supplements that some people might like, and then there's a few other semi-medications that some people might have in very specific situations, but really not really. After that, there's like, I'm struggling to think of anything else apart from I also sometimes class calcium, magnesium and zinc as separate to multivitamins as well, actually, just because you also can't get enough of those in. If you take a multi, that the amount of like milligrams of calcium and vitamin C as well, act like a good dose of vitamin C is 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day, something like this. And
these are the things where it's like, we talk about the Gen Pop that we work with. It's like, even when you're grasping for straws like that, it's like, this is so forest for the trees that
I'm talking too much. I agree. I should have stopped.
Well, no, I didn't mean it that way. What I mean.
No,
is
you're
like,
right. Cut me off. I'm talking nonsense.
But these are the things that people do concern themselves with more often than they have to. And I try to step in and be like,
true, yeah.
This is like the minor stuff that we don't need to really worry about. Here's what I want you to focus on. Like, because again, most people with us are just wanting to lose weight. They want to lose weight and look better. So it's like all that stuff is just like,
if we've got weight to lose and we're not exercising, but we're worried about vitamins, we're kind of doing things in the wrong order. If we eat healthy and exercise, we'll kind of be all right anyway. And then like vitamins is maybe the last 5% little hole that you tag onto the end or that you plug.
Yep. Let's see how much time we got. Yeah, we got some time. Another question that we get quite a bit is, boy, so this is an issue for people. I lose weight and then I gain it all back again, right?
Well, this is the issue.
It is the issue. I've lost weight, but I always gain it back. And why does this keep happening? And I mean, this is we could do an entire episode on this too,
I could do. I've done an entire career on this.
Here's the thing, and I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but most people think that if they've lost weight but gained it back, it's like, oh, I just didn't have enough willpower, or I didn't do things right. That actually isn't really what the science tells us.
No, that's not really it.
When you lose weight, your body doesn't really it doesn't know that you're trying to fit into smaller jeans or or do whatever you're trying, like, I'm going to lower my cholesterol or whatever. Evolutionarily speaking, your body thinks you're trying to survive a famine. That's really what it is, as far as it is concerned, right? Humans, we evolved, when you think, hundreds, thousands of years ago, we evolved in an environment where starvation was a much
imminent.
bigger threat. Yeah, I mean, it was a threat. It was a
nearly
much
all the
bigger
time,
threat
all the time, basically.
all the time. So over hundreds of thousands of years, our bodies became really, really good at defending against weight loss. We have these adaptations that occur to defend starvation, right? We didn't evolve to defend against weight gain because food scarcity was
there wasn't enough food. Yeah. So you're saying, when we're in a diet and the body, sort of speaking anthropomorphically, like you said, the body thinks we're in a starvation, famine situation, then it'd be a fantastic idea if you see loads of food in front of you to eat it right.
Yeah, exactly. And
so why do people feel like that? That makes sense.
I mean, and let's dive into that. Let's dive into because the adaptations that take place, that those are well documented. Your hormones change. The hormone ghrelin, which
hunger
that's
hormone.
The hormone that stimulates hunger, right? That increases, so you become hungrier. And meanwhile, the hormones that help you feel full, like leptin, that decreases because, leptin is produced by your fat cells. So less body fat means leptin signaling to your brain there's less leptin signaling to your brain that basically says, hey, our energy stores are good, right? So the result is that you're not just a little hungrier. In fact, the research shows that people can become significantly hungrier after weight loss than someone who has naturally always been
for
that
actually
same
extended periods of time after, like, the studies haven't even gone long enough to see if that fully corrects back.
Correct. Yeah. And the second thing is, let's also not ignore the fact that when we're like in a prolonged calorie deficit, our energy sucks. Our energy expenditure drops, right? So, and some of that is expected because a smaller body obviously burns fewer calories. But there's another phenomenon that it's called adaptive thermogenesis. Sometimes we call it metabolic. Most of the time we call it metabolic adaptation in our industry. But your body actually becomes more energy efficient. It starts burning fewer calories than you would predict or you expect for someone your size, because it's essentially trying to conserve fuel because it believes food is scarce and trying to.
That seems to be somewhere like 10 to 20%, depending on how much weight they've lost. It seems
somewhere around there.
It seems to be based on as well how much weight people have lost from baseline, from starting position, is how much like metabolic adaptation they have.
Yep. So now you're burning fewer calories while also wanting to eat. You want to eat. You're burning fewer, but you want to eat more. That's a hell of a combo, right? So, and then
can I add on another one as well?
Mm-hmm.
When people are dieting like this, one of the other metabolic adaptations is growth hormone and also testosterone reduction and testosterone in males and females. And testosterone is linked to dopaminergic reward when you do hard things. So then when you actually, so people with higher testosterone levels, when they do a hard thing and achieve, they feel more dopamine from it. When you diet, in males and females, testosterone goes down, and now doing hard, that puts your energy levels down, and then doing hard things doesn't even feel as good or rewarding somehow, and then people get like this apathy. Is apathy the right word? Or I don't know, there's just like neutrality a little bit towards things, and it's just because you're just low energy and you just don't care anymore as much.
A little bit, complacency perhaps.
But, but it's actually hormonal as well. It's not even psychological. It's not even that you are weak sort of thing. No, it's.
But there is the brain portion, because you're tapping into an interesting piece of this too. The brain, right? Food is already rewarding for a lot of people. Now food becomes even more rewarding at that point. They've done brain imaging studies that show that after weight loss, the areas of your brain that are involved in reward and motivation become way more responsive to food cues. So like if you see a commercial for pizza, let's say, or you smell cookies, or you walk past like a restaurant, those things literally become harder to ignore than they were before you lost the weight. And so the parts of the brain that are responsible for self-control, they have to work much harder. And so it's not necessarily weakness, it's biology. Now, add real life on top of that, and like
stress, time. Ooh.
Yeah, right. Most people lose weight by, this is another important point to call out, which is why we try to preach sustainability. But a lot of people lose weight by like trying to adhere to a plan that they don't like or don't want to live forever, right? They cut out foods that they love. They stop going out with friends. They spend an hour doing cardio every day. They do things that are like not sustainable. And they think, great, I'm done. But they haven't built a lifestyle. They haven't, they've completed a temporary project essentially, right? So naturally they go back to eating the way they used to eat and living the way they used to live. And that's not going to work. If you return to the behaviors that created the weight gain in the first place, then you're going to eventually return to that weight that those behaviors create, right?
You do what you do, you get what you got.
That's why the goal is not to just lose weight when you're we work with people. The goal is to become the person who naturally maintains a healthier weight by consistently like just living the way that person would live. Maintenance isn't a finish line, right? In my opinion, it's a skill. You have to develop it.
Yes.
Right? People who keep the weight off long term, they're not necessarily, I guarantee they're not necessarily more disciplined or more motivated than everyone else.
Yes.
They're just the ones that built the habits they can live with indefinitely. And their nutrition isn't perfect. I promise you that.
Mine's not either.
Cake, they still eat pizza, right? They still go on vacation. They just don't abandon completely the behaviors that got them there in the first place. So if you've lost weight before and you've regained it, don't look at it like, oh, I'm broken or I can't do this. Look at it as proof that weight loss and weight maintenance are actually two different skills. One is getting there, the other is staying there. And then, staying there is where the real work begins, in my opinion. These are skills you have to develop.
I love that. Thank you so much. And yes, people do not develop those skills, but I prepare my clients for these skills literally from day number one. I do not only talk to them about their calorie deficit, I talk to them about their calorie maintenance level now and what I estimate their calorie maintenance level will be when they achieve their goal. And I talk to them consistently throughout the process, not only about how much we should be eating now, but also what their maintenance level is for their current body and what we'll have to be doing after. And I actually really like it when clients have periods of practicing eating at their predicted calorie maintenance level, what they will have to do at their goal weight while we're in the process as like a little break from the weight loss. So everybody's done 50 low calorie diets. Oh, you've done Weight Watchers, you've done 5-2, you've done Atkins, you've done this, you've done that. We get it. A lot of people are actually really well trained at pushing themselves and putting pressure on themselves and bullying themselves into eating 500 calories a day. And you've done soup, shake and supplement diets, silly diets, S diets, I call them, shit diets. All the S diets. If it starts with an S, it ain't good. That people have done this. What has anybody ever taught you how to maintain? Have you ever done a maintenance program? Have you ever actively practiced? Do you know what your calorie maintenance level should be? How much should you eat more than when you come out of the deficit? How do you fit snacks into that? How do you fit meals out into that? Good questions, me. A lot of people don't know. They don't know. So then I spend a lot of time preparing people for this. It's a different situation. I hear so many times, oh, keeping the weight off's harder than losing it. Physically, that can't be the case because it cannot be harder to eat maintenance than a deficit. That's impossible. The part that's harder is people are not prepared. They don't have the skills. They don't have the preparation. They arrive at the goal burnt out and exhausted and unprepared and unsupported. A lot of people lose the weight and then they quit programs as well. Some people lose the weight and then they quit the support they've had. And I'm like, okay, so you're not practiced, you're not prepared, and you've quit the support, and you're exhausted because you've ground yourself into the floor for the last 20 weeks dieting, running on only adrenaline and 400 calories per day, and then we wonder why we can't maintain. But if we actually do a process and a program that we like, and we arrive there feeling good, when my clients achieve their goal, they don't even want to stop because they feel so much better than they did at the start. Why would you want to stop feeling better? They're not desperate to get out of it. They feel good. We haven't starved them into the ground. We haven't exercised them into the ground. They've just been producing these healthy habits, feeling better along the way. And then they say to me, hey Connor, I've achieved all my weight, what's next? And I say, hey, do you know all those times like at the weekend and when you went on vacation and when you felt ill that time and when you were on your hormonal cycle and you said to me, oh, I don't feel good? And I said, hey, you should just eat maintenance for like 3 days to a week and just take a little chill on it. And you said, yeah, okay, I will. We're doing that again. And they say, oh, I've done that quite a few times. And I say, yeah, we have actually. Let's do it again. And it's just smooth. It's a practice and a perspective thing.
And they tell you, all right, coach, let's do it.
Aye, laddie. Freedom! They may take our lives. They may take our homes. And they will also take my body fat.
Man, those are that's a great movie to pull some lines from.
Yeah. I am William Wallace. Firebolts from my eyes, lightning bolts from my arse. That's what he says, literally, isn't it?
Dude, that's a pretty good accent. I don't know.
He can't be. I am William Wallace. When he's on that horse and they're trying to turn back,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You did a good accent. The accent thing is interesting to me. You're a musical guy. I just learned this. For anyone that's wondering what in the world, why am I talking about accents? This before when we were backstage before this episode, I walked into the room, did some Scottish accent, and Connor goes, "Did you just speak in a Scottish accent?" And I go, "Yeah, I did." Then I started doing it, and then we got on to talking about like music. I just learned that Connor plays guitar. I play guitar as well, so we just learned this about one another. Or maybe you knew I played. I didn't know you played guitar.
No, I didn't know about you either.
Okay, well there you go. So maybe then one of the next episodes will be Connor and I just playing guitar while we answer your questions.
Yeah, I've posted some videos of me playing online before to actually surprising good reception. But like I said to you, we are quite the opposites in that, where I've actually played guitar on and off, I'll say. Like, I generally play it for a few months, and then I'll leave it for like a year, and then I'll pick it back up. Like, I go through stages. But I've literally played since being like, I don't know, 15 years old, and I'm still so mediocre and not great. Like, I have no tonality, I have no creativity at all. I can replicate, like, I can play nearly every acoustic guitar song, basically. And if you give me 10 minutes, I can play most things, because if you played enough songs, they all have similar chords. There's only like 20 chords that everything uses, and if you can pick similar patterns, then
what kind of music do you listen to?
I'll say this: I'm not a big music guy, except when I'm playing the guitar.
What?
I'm an audiobook and a podcast guy when I'm like not playing, but when I'm playing, I like a little bit of country.
Name a song that you think is massively underrated. Like what's like one of if not the most underrated songs ever for you?
Very good question. I'll say I don't know if I can answer that question directly, as it feels like it's an opinion, but I'll say my favourite song to play on guitar is Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan, which is not underrated. That was rated the best country song in the world for 1 or 2 years in a row. But I absolutely love Zach Bryan, and I loved him on YouTube when he was in the army before he was famous, and then I became like, even how can you be proud of somebody you don't know?
Sure,
but then he exploded into an absolute just power like superstar in country, and I'm like, this guy's so raw to me. Like, I love his songs. I like playing country, and I like playing pop music as well. I like my actual favorite thing to do is put on I even do this with classical music. I put on pop music and classical music that does not contain acoustic guitar, and then I play over the top of it and try to add bits to it. Is one of my favorite things to do.
Here's one of the most underrated songs of all time, in my opinion, and surely you've heard of this.
I won't be surprised if I haven't.
You have, I guarantee you. There's no way you haven't.
Come on.
I can see your brows get shining in the sun. You got the hair that moves way.
This is not an underrated song. This is world famous.
Your mother will still be strong. After the poison, summer have gone.
Great song.
Epic song, not underrated at all. Rude to say it's underrated, if anything, so. Getting us banned off YouTube as well, probably. Getting us copyright infringements, probably.
Anyways, I don't know. I could. God, that's another episode we should do. Is just music, although it's not related to this. But I'm a sucker for it. But yeah, man. Look, we're a little bit over time, but I think we have plenty of. I had 20 questions that I had written down, and we got to what, 5 or 6 of them. So we can definitely do this episode next week. We can do a continuation of this. There's no shortage of questions.
We got to more questions than if you'd have left it up to me. We'd have still been on question 1, and I'd still be ranting right now. So thank you for cutting me off and moving us on, because I will not stop. I could do an hour on each question. I know you could as well, but you're actually like wrangling us into some kind of pattern, which I appreciate. But yeah, I think we should continue on this, and I would also like to maybe bring on some other Macros Inc. coaches at sometimes to do a little triple with us and get them to answer these questions as well. We'll throw in some other opinions and show some other faces of the show.
Yeah, we
can the Macros Inc. Coach Cast.
I hope everyone that watched this loved it. I hope it was beneficial. We will continue to do these.
Beautiful.
Let me just say one more time. I'm trying to make this a habit so everyone knows, but anyone watching this episode or watching our podcast, if you ever want to work with a coach and you want a discount, this episode or this podcast is exclusive to the discount code podcast25. So that's yours to use if you guys want a $25 discount on coaching. Even if you just want to do 1 month, use code podcast25 and you'll get $25 off coaching. We'd love to work with you, but if not, that's cool too. You can continue to watch these episodes. Connor and I will continue to do our thing. We have another week. Isn't it amazing how fast the weeks go by where it's like I turn around and it's Wednesday again. We're doing another podcast. It's just amazing how fast time goes.
I love it. And I, as a podcast listener, I know that the listeners at home will also get into a nice pattern of expecting us every single Wednesday and being there with us along the way as well.
This is where I do the shameless plug of please like and subscribe. I hate saying those words because
I'll say it. I love doing an intro and an outro. Just hand it over here.
Like and subscribe, please. Please like and subscribe. Can you please like and subscribe?
It's good for your health, ladies and gentlemen. You know it is. Come on. We're doing this for you, not for us. You should like and subscribe for you. Your future thanks you when you listen to the Macros Inc. podcast. Your family and friends thank you.
Good things will happen. You got good. If you like and subscribe, good karma's coming your way.
You actually lose weight osmotically by just listening to us. That's actually how it works. Your family and friends will like you as you are a healthier, happier version of you, and that bleeds over into your personal relationships. And they'll thank you for thanking us. So we'll see you next week.
Damn, well done. I can't top that. Let's play this outro stuff. We're out of here. Till next week, people. Adios.